Hello and welcome back to Around the Clock. Today we are speaking with Ashland Town Manager Michael Herbert regarding the upcoming town meeting. Michael, welcome back to Around the Clock.
Yolanda, thanks again for having me. It's a pleasure as always.
So we today are going to be speaking about the Ashland Town meeting that is coming up on Saturday, June 12th at 10 a.m. First of all, let's talk a little bit about the change in time and time and day. We usually do it during the week, and we're doing it on a Saturday this year.
Yes, this year the decision was made to move it to a Saturday for a number of different reasons. So it will be Saturday, June 12th. As for the time, we're going to start it at 10 a.m. Originally, we had thought it was going to be 1 p.m., but we changed it to 10 a.m. in the high school gymnasium at this time. So just to repeat, it's going to be on Saturday, June 12th at 10 a.m. at the gymnasium.
And we're hoping that maybe some different people will come out, or maybe a few more people by trying it on a Saturday. And originally it was because of COVID issues we were doing it on the Saturday, but we're keeping it there, which is good. So how full will this town meeting be, Michael? How many articles are on the warrant?
Well, in terms of an annual town meeting, I guess you could say it's light. As Joe Mignani would say, I don't want to put the whammy on it. But, we do have, again, more of our regular articles that you do at the annual town meeting. And then we've got a handful of zoning articles, a couple of which are substantial that we'll need to work through.
Well, why don't you take us through the articles and we can talk about them and then really get into some detail with the zoning ones.
Sure. Article 1, it's going to be a transfer from our general stabilization, or what we call our rainy day fund, to help support our FY22 budget. So that's next year's budget. This year, we're looking at transferring $900,000 out of our rainy day fund. This will be the second year that we have transferred money out of our stabilization fund since we adopted new financial policies. Yolanda, I really kind of sounded a bell yesterday at the select board meeting.
Yep.
We really need to be cautious about the continuing use of the stabilization fund. Again, this is one-time revenue. And if you continue to build a structural deficit around one-time revenue, when that one-time revenue goes away, again, that's why it's
Right.
one time,
Right.
You end up with a pretty big deficit that you have to find a way to close. So, but nevertheless, we feel like it's prudent to go ahead and utilize it this year.
Okay.
And article number 2 is tied into that. That's going to be the fiscal year 2022 budget. I don't expect to see there's no any big new initiatives or
Right.
anything of that nature on the municipal side. Really on the school department, I think you see some very little growth. There's a couple of things that we really need to do in our school department to make sure that we keep class sizes manageable. And really that's in the middle school and in some of our other departments. But, all in all, austere is not the right word because we're not really making any cuts, but it's really a level services type of budget.
Right. And as you said, moving forward, we are going to have to see what we do with that, because we cannot continue to use our rainy day funds because eventually we won't have any. And that is not what we're looking to do.
Right. And Yolanda, you remember, I mean, we go back a ways now where
Yeah.
we got in this cycle of using it every year, and that's really what was keeping us from achieving a AAA bond rating. And it's really important to keep that bond rating at AAA because we're getting ready to go out and do the biggest borrowing in the town's history based on a couple of big building projects. So that's why I'm acutely aware of that.
Good. And it's good that we have you there being acutely aware of that.
So it's, I'm pretty conservative.
Yep.
So Article 3, it's speaking of conservative, this is a transfer to our OPEB trust. Now, OPEB is a long-term liability that we are trying to get ahead of and get an advanced jump on. And so this is part of our financial policies as well. Each year we budget in our budget the equivalent of the annual required contribution for each new employee's health insurance when they retire. I know that's a whole mouthful. OPEB is
a lot. It's a lot of detail for.
It is. But nevertheless, OPEB is other post-employment benefits. It's a nice fancy way of saying health insurance. And what we're doing here is we're trying to manage this long-term liability. So that's why we're transferring money into an OPEB trust.
Good.
So Article 4 is our annual consent article. This is a number of items that we put together that are mainly routine and give us the ability to do some routine work without necessarily having to go back to town meeting for that. It also is where we authorize the establishment of several revolving funds and put caps on what we can spend out of those revolving funds and what we can spend those revolving funds on. And that's a standard one that we see every year.
Right.
And Article 5 is also a consent article, but that's in relation to the Community Preservation Act. And this is sponsored by the Community Preservation Committee. So each year, we have to appropriate funds from our Community Preservation Act buckets, which are related to historic resources and community housing and open space. We have to allocate money towards certain bond payments required for purchases that we had previously made. First one being the Oak Street bond payment, the second one being the high school athletic fields, and the third being the purchase of Warren Woods. We actually have a new one this year, which is to fund the bond payments related to the acquisition of the Valentine estate. So a slight change in what we've seen before with the CPC consent articles.
And again, when you say consent, and I'm sure people watching will know this, but it means that we take all of those at one time. You look at it and we just approve all the information that's there.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, moving on.
So Article 6, this is also sponsored by the Community Preservation Committee, and that is to appropriate $125,000 to repair the Valentine Barn roof and the Valentine Barn foundation, and then also get rid of some invasive plants that are out in the front. So any of you who have driven by the Valentine Barn know that it's got that silver tarp on top of it is not an architectural design. It's actually a Band-Aid at its best. But this is to fund the repair of that roof, the replacement of that roof, and then also the foundation, so we can keep it standing while we figure out the best use of the property moving forward.
Right. Good.
Article 7 is asking the town to accept an easement from the YMCA for Charlie Brook Trail. Most everybody, I think by now, knows that the YMCA is building a new regional facility off of Memorial Drive next to the Dunkin' Donuts. Mm-hmm. We also have Charlie Brook Trail, which is part of our Upper Charles Trail system, that's going to be constructed in the land that we acquired through the RTD purchase, or the Rail Transit District purchase. Mm-hmm. And we need an easement from the YMCA to facilitate the building of that trail. So the YMCA has been very generous in approving that, and we just need to accept it at town meeting to make it official.
Good. Yeah, it's going to be exciting to have the Y there, and it's nice that they're already willing to be a partner.
Yes, it was. These things can be pretty bureaucratic and full of red tape, but they were able to slice through it relatively quickly, and really appreciate their work. Article 8 is the first of several zoning bylaw amendments, and this is just to clarify some of the design review process requirements. Article 9 is adding a new section to our bylaws, which details covered open air front porches. And so you can actually see the text of these articles on the warrant when it's published. And again, I think that's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, I know that the planning board spent a lot of time, and they've had some good hearings and discussion about what that means. So it'll be interesting to see how the residents and what they think about it at town meeting.
It'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah.
And then Article 10 is what I think is probably going to be the biggest article. And it's to revise and replace the downtown district zoning. So I believe it was back in 2016, we replaced our downtown zoning with something known as a form-based code, which really tried to utilize visual graphics to help demonstrate what we would like to see from developers in downtown Ashland. And over the years since that's been in place, we've had a couple of developments go through, and now we've had an opportunity to see, what we like and what we don't like about that code, and so we're making adjustments through it. I'm really impressed with the work that's been done on this through the planning board and our planning staff, as well as with MAPC. It puts a lot of refinement on some of these graphic elements, and then it also puts it into uh, regular English, or
That's
I
good.
should say more of an architectural vernacular, but it's spelled out exactly what it is that we're looking for, and I think
Yeah.
that'll be a very, very great benefit to the town, and then also to proposed projects as they go forward through the process. We're being very explicit in what we would like to see.
Yeah, I think downtown is very important, and the look and feel of downtown is very important. And by having the information available for people who own property and want to do something, it will help them, and it will make us, it'll make us easier to work with if they have the information beforehand.
Well, we hope so. Again, development is a balance of zoning and economics.
Right.
A lot of focus gets put on zoning, but if you make the zoning so restrictive that it's not worthwhile for a private owner to put money into it and develop it,
Right.
you're not going to get anything that happens. It's
Right.
just stay
Yeah.
the way it is. So we're trying to walk that fine line and find that balance. And I do think this goes a long ways towards that.
Great. And the warrant should be posted, or at least at some point today it'll get up because it was voted on yesterday. So
Mhm.
I think that if people are interested, they can go and read it. And certainly Peter Matchick, our planner, has said he's available if people have questions on any of these zoning issues.
And similar to that, Yolanda, we should have the budget document printed, at least a couple of weeks before town meeting, so people have an opportunity to look through that
Great.
and get a better sense of what we're asking for from a funding perspective.
Sounds good. Well, Michael, thank you for coming on and talking us through the town meeting warrant that's happening on June 12th. Anything fun that you're looking forward to this spring now that things are lightening up with COVID?
I'm looking forward to seeing people. So I think this last year has been really revealing to me from a personal standpoint, just how much I appreciate being involved in the community and getting to know people and getting to have that, one-on-one time with Ashland residents and businesses. And
Yeah.
it's been sorely missed. So I'm really
Yep.
looking forward to getting back to it. And I know, Yolanda, you feel the same way. So
Same way, same
Mhm.
way. So I guess we'll be seeing you on the 21st at the Meet Your Neighbor event.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Well, Michael, thanks for coming on Around the Clock, and hopefully we'll be able to do this next one in person rather than via Zoom.
I'm all for that.
Sounds good. Thank you, Michael.
All right. Thanks, Yolanda.
Thanks for watching this segment of Around the Clock. Again, the town meeting warrant will be posted within the next day, so you can go ahead and read that, as well as all the budget documents, so you can come to town meeting on Saturday, June 12th at 10 a.m. with information and ready to vote. Thanks for watching this segment of Around the Clock.